Vasishta continued, the god who holds in his hands the conch, the discus, etc., protects the three worlds on account of the adorable conditioning. It is thanks to the same type of conditioning that the sun shines and the cosmic body of the Creator continues to direct this vast creation, and Lord Shiva too shines as a divinity on account of this type of conditioning. The gods that sustain this world and function in various ways are endowed with their faculties by this adorable conditioning or self-limitation. In other words, even if you're a god or enlightened, you've still got to get on with your natural functions. Even if your function is to be a yogi and live in seclusion, you're still doing something. You're still following out your inner nature. On the other hand, under the influence of the sterile or barren conditioning, the mind falls prey to the desire for pleasure in the deluded belief that such experience is delightful. And this is fueled by the very deep conviction or conditioning that our intrinsic self is somehow inadequate. We feel basically impoverished in ourself, psychologically and emotionally, possibly because all we experience is the pain of existence, and we haven't been able to look beyond that. Even the functioning of the cosmic elements is due to conditioning, and it is because of it that the gods in heaven, the humans on earth, and the demons in the netherworld arise and fall like waves in the ocean. Even as in the ocean the big fish eat the small ones, all these countless beings feed upon one another and are helplessly blown around in space on account of their conditioning. And the stars in space move in their own orbits because of conditioning. Now rising, now setting, now bright, now dark, and said to have several spots or defects. The moon continues to revolve around the earth and is not abandoned because of conditioning. So everything is just doing its thing, basically. O Ram, behold this mysterious creation brought into being by who knows who, in response to the mental concepts of beings. Well, we can make up our own story, or stories. This is what we do. Stories of creation, whether it's religious, mythological, or scientific. We decide what are going to be the facts. We decide on what can be tested, how these facts can be tested or not. And depending whether you're a scientist or a religious believer, you'll accept different kinds of proof or evidence. This universe has been conjured up in empty space merely by mental conditioning. It is not a reality. And this is the conditioning of the cognitive process. There's the experiencing going on, the field of experiencing. The cognitive process tries to apprehend this in terms of concepts, in terms of percepts and notions. And this is the mental conditioning. We start believing in our concepts and notions. It's got no intrinsic reality. And in this universe, craving for pleasure gnaws at the very vitals of all beings who are attached to the world, the body, etc. And that's true, that's a very good way of putting it. This craving for pleasure, craving for fulfillment, for satisfaction, gnaws at our very vitals. It's insanity, really. No one can count their number any more than the number of particles of sand along the ocean beaches. The creator of this universe has brought this universe into being, as it were, only in response to the mental conditioning of these countless beings. These beings are indeed excellent dry fuel for the flaming fire of hell here. Whatever suffering is found in this world, know that it is meant only for these beings. Even as rivers flow rapidly towards the ocean, suffering flows towards those who are mentally conditioned. This conditioning brings suffering along with it. This whole creation is thus pervaded by ignorance. However, if one cuts asunder this craving for pleasure, the limitation of mental conditioning yields to a great expansion. And some people might find that easier than others. There might be so much pain, you might have so much pain it's very hard to see this. It's possible you might have glimpsed it, in which case you should pursue it. Mental conditioning, or attachment to the finite and the perishable, is burning pain to the limbs or arm. But infinite expansion, or devotion to the infinite, is the magic cure for the burning pain. I would say it's our only hope, really. That mind which is unattached to anything, which is established in the peace of infinite expansion, is conducive to delight. He who stands rooted in self-knowledge is liberated here and now. So self-knowledge is all that's going to free us from our conditioning. And the translators put a note here at the end of this chapter. In this chapter, the real significance of conditioning is brought out, though the word used again is samsangam, which may also be translated as contact or attachment. It is identification or conditioning that is really implied. It's what the attention comes into contact with and then develops attachments for, and then what happens is the attention is then hijacked by these things that it's come into contact with. It's a bit like the drug dealer who gives the potential customer some free samples. The potential customer comes into contact with it and then wants more. And this is how the attention works. It comes into contact with something and then it gets attachment to it, and then the attention is no longer free. It's being caught. That's conditioning.